Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Look, I've said it a lot on this channel over the last couple of weeks. 2024, it's time to put up or shut up. We're going to find out if Josh Heupel is the guy that's going to take us to the next level, a guy that's going to take that next step, a guy that's going to close the gap when you're talking about teams like Alabama and Georgia. And I think Josh Heupel's done a great job. Look, I love me some Josh Heupel. What he's done in 3 seasons at Tennessee has been absolutely amazing. You're brought into Tennessee. You're hired as the head coach at the University of Tennessee. The first thing they tell you is you got to beat 3 teams. You got to beat Alabama. You got to beat Georgia. You got to beat Florida. That's on the field. It's also on the recruiting trail. Look, Josh Heupel's already beat 2 of the 3. You know, you go back to 2022, beating Alabama, ending that streak in Neyland Stadium, beating the Gators. Now, he's also had some nice wins on the recruiting trail over Georgia and over Alabama. Arian Carter, George McIntyre. Alabama very deep in both of those recruitments. I mean, Arian Carter's in the high school gym getting ready to make his announcement. Nick Saban's coaches are beating down the door trying to get in. That's a huge win for Josh Heupel, also for Tim Banks. And then George McIntyre. Look, people want to make excuses. People want to act like Josh Heupel, Tennessee only landed George McIntyre because Nick Saban retired. That's not the case. Tennessee was in a spot to get that recruitment regardless of Nick Saban riding off into the sunset. But those were 2 big wins. Also, David Hobbs. You landed David Hobbs over Alabama and Georgia as well. But I think 2024 is when this football program really needs to truly take the next step and continue to compete for these top-level recruits. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw this article floating around the internet the last day. Georgia reportedly made a competitive NIL offer to elite recruit that eventually signed with the Tennessee Vols. This is from Zach Reagan over at A to Z Sports. And look, as fans, we always do it, right? If Tennessee lands the commitment, it's because of relationships. It's because of facilities. It's because we're the University of Tennessee. They want to rep the Power T. They're coming here to play for the great state of Tennessee. If we lose one, it's always NIL. There's probably a combination of both things, but let's scroll down. Let's take a look at the article. This was a huge win on the recruiting trail. Again, Zach Reagan, A to Z Sports. Says here the Georgia Bulldogs reportedly made a really competitive NIL offer to elite 5-star recruit that ended up signing with the Tennessee Vols. Goes on to say, according to Dog HQ's Rusty Manziel, Georgia was closer than some people thought to landing 2024 5-star wide receiver Mike Matthews, Georgia native that signed with Tennessee in December. Says last year, Mike Matthews was a guy Georgia, got heavily involved in, said Manziel on the Georgia Show this week. They made a really competitive NIL deal to Mike Matthews. They were involved with that, and they got closer than some people thought. Look, Mike Matthews, absolutely huge win on the recruiting trail. 5-star wide receiver. He's a guy that, some people are telling me when I make videos talking about what this wide receiver room's going to look like, a lot of people out there saying, hey, don't sleep on Mike Matthews. He's going to have the potential to possibly start early at the University of Tennessee. 6 foot, 180 pounds, 26th best player in the country. So that's a legit win over Georgia. And, opposing fan bases are going to act the same way that we do. You go get Mike Matthews. Tennessee paid for him. They bought him. That's the only reason. It has nothing to do with Nico, has nothing to do with Josh Heupel, has nothing to do with that offense, the excitement, the buzz. I've said it a lot. When Nico committed to Tennessee, it became cool, it became sexy to go play at Tennessee again. Tennessee are they back? Are they on the way back? Had a little hiccup in 2023. That's why I think 2024 is so crucial. But it's not always just about money. Again, why this is so important is because they are confirming Georgia wanted Mike Matthews. Georgia went all in on Mike Matthews. Georgia made a competitive NIL offer on Mike Matthews, but Tennessee still pulled him down. Again, we're closing the gap. You got to win more of these. You got to continue to win these battles against the Georgias, against the Alabamas, and close that gap. That's the theme here. Says here, Matthews, who is from Lilburn, Georgia, was rated 247 Sports Composite Rankings as the number 24 player in the nation, number 4 ranked player in the state of Georgia. So not only are we going and winning a 5-star recruit, we're going into their backyard and cherry-picking the player we want and bringing him back home. Says here, the fact that Tennessee landed Matthews over Georgia is even more impressive when you consider how badly the Bulldogs wanted him. Georgia doesn't typically go crazy when it comes to NIL deals for wide receivers, but they were willing to pay up to get Matthews, who is from a city that's an hour west of Athens. Goes on to say Georgia is still the king of recruiting in the SEC, but the Vols are slowly starting to close the gap. Landing a guy like Matthews, who played high school football at one of the most well-known high schools in Georgia, is something that Josh Heupel and his staff aren't getting nearly enough credit for. It goes on to say some of the players that have come out of that high school says Tennessee might be making some folks in Athens a little uneasy with the recruiting success they are starting to have in Georgia. We're going to take a look at some numbers. What's the narrative? Are you satisfied with what Josh Heupel has done at Tennessee? Coach Rice and I were having the conversation publicly on Twitter. You guys could see it. Coach Rice says this ain't good enough. The blue chip percentage dropped for the class of 2024. That's why I think this season, this upcoming football season, and the class of 25 are crucial if Josh Heupel is truly going to be that guy that takes that next step. We're going to take a look at some numbers, but do me a favor. We're 6 minutes into this video. If you're still watching it, you like what we do, smash the thumbs up just below the video. It's quick, free, easy. It helps the channel. I would appreciate it. If this is your first time ever popping in for the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. Look, we're not experts. We're not media. We don't talk at you. We don't preach at you. We don't tell you your opinion. We are here to have a conversation. This channel is for the fans, by the fans. You guys are the heartbeat of this channel. So if you like what we do, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. Try to drop a video every day. We go live every Tuesday night. Got some fun live film breakdown streams we're going to be doing as well. So get in where you fit in. Come hang out. And let's be a part of the Talkin VAWLS community. Best community for Tennessee football on YouTube, period, hands down. It ain't even close. But let's take a look at numbers. You pull up what Josh Heupel's doing in the class of 2025, and it's early. It is early in this process. Look, February is a dead period. It's getting ready to open back up in March. A lot of these kids are going to take visits in March. They will go into the summer. You'll see some official visits. Some of these kids are going to come off the board prior to their high school senior season going into the fall. So it's early in the process. Tennessee currently sitting at 12th. Again, big win. Big win getting George McIntyre in the boat. Also, 4-star tight end Jack Van Dorsare. Shout out Coach Jay. We're going to be breaking down his film a little bit later today. That video will be coming your way on Sunday morning. So you look at what they've got in the boat. Again, it's early. But what is good enough at the University of Tennessee? When we talk about closing the gap, we talk about catching up with the Georgias and the Alabamas. Let's take a look at some numbers. Let's go all the way back to Lane Kiffin. Let's talk about how many 5-star prospects, because that's the buzzword. Oh, we need more 5 stars. 3-star you, we don't have enough 5 stars. You look at what Josh Heupel has done. Nico, 5-star. Mike Matthews, 5-star. Jordan Ross, 5-star. And before you start looking at numbers and arguing with me, I'm going by the On3 industry rankings. So I know some of these numbers could be up or down, but that's what I'm basing the data, the information on. So again, Nico, Mike Matthews, Jordan Ross. George McIntyre is not a 5-star, but you can go ahead and bet your sweet bank account that GMAC is going to be a 5-star. So we're going to say 4 5-stars for Josh Heupel. 2022 15th ranked class 23, the 12th ranked class of 2024 was 13th. He's not even cracking the top 10. Let's look at Lane Kiffin. Let's go all the way back to old Lane. Signed 2 5-stars in Bryce Brown and Jansen Jackson. His class finished 8th. That's a top 10 class. Derek Dooley signed 2 5-stars to Rick Rogers, Juwan James. Best class he ever had was 11th in 2010. Butch Jones, the old used car salesman, had some success recruiting, right? 4th ranked class in 2015. 5th ranked class in 2014, back-to-back top 5 classes. What could Josh Heupel do if he had back-to-back top 5 classes, but only signed 2 5-stars, Trey Smith and also Khalil McKenzie? And then you look at Jeremy Pruitt, the best class he ever had was 11th. He signed Darnell Wright and Wanya Morris. So Josh Heupel, in his 3 seasons at Tennessee, has already signed more 5-stars than any coach that came before him after the Philip Fulmer era. And I also think you got to look at it. Recruiting has changed, right? It's a different game. Of course, NIL is part of it, but also the transfer portal. I talked a lot about roster management. What's more important, going and signing a 5-star or adding a guy like Lance Hurd, who has a year of college experience and, oh, by the way, was also a 5-star? You look at who has been added via the portal, and I know when I say Hendon Hooker, I always get yelled at. I know that Josh Heupel didn't recruit Hendon Hooker, but obviously he was his coach at the University of Tennessee. Also, Kamal Haddon, a guy that had a great season this past year. Joe Milton, Holden Stace. Your tight ends room's depleted. What do? You go out and you get the number 1 ranked tight end in the portal. Again, I mentioned Lance Hurd, adding Keenan Peely at linebacker. I think Josh Heupel has done a great job with roster management. So what do you need? Do you have to have a top 5 class to compete? That's what I'm looking for. And to quote Coach Jay, you don't have to have a top 5 class every year. If you're the University of Tennessee in a 4-year cycle, let's pull in 3 top 10 classes and 1 top 5 class and let Josh Heupel and this coaching staff go out and develop them. But when we look at the class of 25, you got to go land some guys like David Sanders, 5-star offensive tackle. Josh Petty, also a 4-star offensive tackle. Caleb Cunningham, legit interest. Friends with George McIntyre, 5-star wide receiver. Jamie French, 5-star wide receiver. Jordan Young, made a video on him last week. Elite level athlete / safety out of North Carolina. Also boys with George McIntyre. You got to land some of these in-state kids. Cam Sparks, Ethan Utley, Jalen Morgan. So many guys in-state that have a ton of talent and a ton of potential. But what do you guys think? Jump in the comment section. Let's talk about it. A win over Georgia with Mike Matthews. A win over Bama with George McIntyre. Are we closing the gap? What do you need in this class of 2025? What happens if Josh Heupel goes out and goes 8-4? In 2024, he's going to start to get some criticism. He's going to start to get a little negativity. So I think it is a crucial year. But I want to talk to you guys about it in the comment section. As always, smash the thumbs up. On the way out the door, go check out the merchandise. You guys know where, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS to get all your merchandise for the Talkin VAWLS Network. That link is also in the description below the video. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.